Welcome to the Level Up Life podcast. I'm your host, Scottie Hobbs, where we're here to remind you that your family is your most important work on earth, help you feel better, and learn how to earn more income for your family. I'm here with my friend Brady. Brady's focus is natural healing and helping people get real results by fixing the root of the problem. He does stem cell injections and regenerative medicine, helps reset your metabolism, and focuses on gut health. He's got a lot of knowledge, and I'm excited to learn alongside with you on how to feel better in this body we have here on earth. Brady, welcome to the show.
So my name's Brady Wirick. By training, I am a chiropractor, but I've been in the functional medicine, functional neurology, and now regenerative medicine space for the last 20 years, helping build better humans.
Cool.
Just working problems and health problems from the inside out, and really digging into what really causes things and how we can correct them, and doing as naturally as possible.
Yeah.
We live in 2025, and there's no excuse anymore for having these chronic conditions that there are 100% answers for. It just does not come in a pill or a prescription.
Yeah. Now, listening to that, 20 years in that space, when someone comes in to visit you, what are some of the most common things people are struggling with?
Oh gosh. So the two big drivers are joint pain, the term arthritis. People wear out their joints and think there's nothing they can do but get a replacement. That's not actually factual. There are many other things that we can do. So joint pain is a big driver. And then, of course, weight loss. I have this awesome weight loss program that I call a weight loss program, because a weight loss program gets the phone to ring. But what it really is getting actually to get people's guts to heal.
Okay.
And helping them reduce inflammation, regulate insulin better, and they heal from the inside out. And weight loss is just a side effect of doing that.
Awesome.
And then the third thing are those kind of lumped into the group of people that they've either had a diagnosis or they don't have a diagnosis and they're searching for a diagnosis, and they have come to the point where the medical world has failed them and they want answers.
Okay.
And I don't promise them that I am not promising anybody that I have the answers. However, if we start working these problems from the inside out, we can find answers, and we got some stories we can tell today.
Cool. That would be awesome. So you started 20 years ago. What inspired you to go? Is that what you always wanted to do? Like get into this space, or what?
No, I didn't. I was a 19-year-old missionary for my church in Texas.
Okay.
And to that point in my life, my parents were very medically minded. We were taken to the doctor for every little thing, and there was a pill for every ill. It was kind of their motto. Not really, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So I'd never even heard the word chiropractor before until I was on my mission in Houston. And then there's a chiropractic school in Houston. We used to go over and for service, we would donate our bodies.
Okay.
And they would adjust us. That was my first exposure. And then in the last portion of my mission, I was in an area where one of the church leaders was a chiropractor, and him and I actually became very good friends. And after my mission, we'd connect, and he'd come up here to fish, and I'd go down there to fish, and then I spent some time with him in his practice. I'm like, man, this is really cool. Like, you're helping people without giving them all these drugs.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to do. And that has just kind of the evolution of that. I mean, we could talk for an hour about the evolution of that.
Yeah.
Where it went from, hey, there's this whole field in chiropractic called functional neurology, where you're actually affecting the nerves and how they work. And that turned into like, oh, by the way, nutrition matters. It's really hard to get a brain to fire appropriately when you're fed by nothing but Diet Coke, also known as Diet Croak. So it's just kind of my career has just morphed along the way with each little like, aha, it's like, then it became regenerative medicine. I mean, I can put a needle in people and not me personally, I can't, but we can put stem cells in an arthritic knee and help it grow new cartilage.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. And now, we're getting into the peptide world, where you can take these little snippets of proteins, these little chunks, and give the body the signals that it needs. And all of a sudden these things start healing. And it's just been a lot of fun.
That's cool. I think that's really neat when someone is really curious and willing to learn new things, and then see how can I help somebody with it.
Well, that's the definition of science, right? It's like, we don't know everything. We don't know a fraction of anything. So let's figure it out.
Yeah, that's cool. So you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned peptides, you mentioned stem cells.
Right.
I want to just I'm always looking for constant education. So talk a little bit about those two in whatever order you want. Like peptides, like what is a peptide? What's its function? Stem cells, I want to know also. So,
Well, so let's start with peptides.
okay.
Every single chemical reaction that happens in your body requires two things.
Okay.
It requires an enzyme, which is a protein molecule that lowers the activation energy of that thing to happen. Without enzymes, we're in trouble. Nothing works. Like they greatly increase the speed of chemical reactions so that our body can do things like turn glucose into actual energy.
Okay.
Without enzymes, that doesn't happen. The other thing it needs is signals. And those signals come in the form of peptides. You need to make a protein, you need the signal to make protein.
Okay.
You need to increase protein production. Guess what? You need the signals. Part of those signals are peptides.
Okay.
They're just little chemical signals that say, do your thing.
Okay. So go do this specific
right
thing.
So let's morph that into stem cells.
Okay.
Right? Because what we used to think and when we're talking about stem cells, let's be very clear right from the get-go. We are talking about umbilical cord derived stem cells that come from donated birthing tissue here in the United States.
Okay.
It is not fetal tissue. It is not aborted babies. We're not talking about anything illegal or immoral here. It's always been legal in the United States. There's just been a lot of bad press. Imagine that. Bad press for something that gets people better versus just throwing pills at it. Can you imagine that getting better?
Yeah,
anyway,
I've seen that.
So
cycle.
There are labs in the United States that will collect umbilical cords, amniotic fluid, etc., from healthy moms, healthy babies. Which, side note here, I've just learned this the other day. The particular lab that I use is called Platinum Biologics. They will not accept tissue for people who've had the COVID vaccine.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, huh. That had never crossed my mind until a patient brought it up. I'm like, I don't know, but I know who to call, so I did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about stem cells. We're talking about the actual progenitor cells that come from umbilical cords that are what we used to think and what I used to preach. Like I used to go all over the West doing these seminars. Like we used to say that stem cells will go to the site of the damaged tissue and then they'll magically become this whatever that tissue is that's damaged. Wow. We now know that's not true.
Okay.
What they do is they show up at the site of damaged tissue and they release signals. They're called chemokines to tell the body what to do.
Okay.
So, case in point, I had a gentleman walk in my office yesterday that we did an injection for 3 weeks ago. So we took these stem cells and what are called stem cell exosomes, which are actually like the little packets that these stem cells send out. And we injected them into his knee. Keep in mind, he's just over 60. So he's pushing that at retirement age. And we're talking about a guy that was going to church that couldn't help him, he had to get help getting up from kneeling for prayer because his knees were just shot.
Wow.
Right. So if this guy stays in the medical model, he's like weeks to months away from having to have a joint replacement. He had done the steroid injections, cortisone injections, whatever you want to call them. Those two terms are interchangeable. And when you do those, that is, yes, they get you out of pain, but they degenerate tissue.
Okay.
So there's a cost to those, right? Yes, insurance covers them, but the reality is they are putting you on the fast track to actually having your joint replaced.
Okay. That's good to know because I did that once a long time ago and I wanted to do it for my shoulder.
And frankly, I messed up my back a couple of years ago, doing squats, right? 135 pounds on the bar, which that's less than a warm-up weight. I get down in the hole and I relax and my back goes, nope, you're done for the day.
Yeah.
And I was getting on a plane to go to Mexico in 2 days. I'm like, this ain't happening. Is that a steroid shot? Right? Yeah. So, I mean, there's a time and place for everything, but it's the repetitive, hey, every 6 months I'm going to go get my knee injected. You are just setting yourself up to have them literally cut your legs off and put in metal parts.
Yeah.
Call it what it is.
Okay.
Right? I get that it helps a lot of people, but there is a population of people, they don't want to do that. So anyway, back to this dude. So he walks in my office yesterday and we do a lot of low-level laser therapy, which is very different from red light therapy. Okay. Much more intense. And I do it as a follow-up with these because it keeps blood flow going, it keeps the stem cells replicating, it keeps things moving along. And I'm like, dude, how's your knee? He's like, my knee is awesome. And that's when he told me the story of, going to church and not being able to kneel down to pray and get himself up without everybody thinking he was an old man.
Yeah.
So we inject those into his joint. Right now, he's in that phase where those stem cells are causing those chemical reactions to build more cartilage. We've got him on a clean, he's eating clean collagen. He's taking protein so that his body has something to build those ligaments and tendons out of that's not Fritos, Doritos, pizza, hamburgers, otherwise known as standard American diet. And the dude's rocking and rolling.
That's awesome. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
That's incredible.
Okay? Which most people, this is the question, like, how long does it take? Most people actually feel better walking out of the office because we're putting a whole bunch of fluid into that joint and providing extra cushion just from the nature of the fluid, right? Because those joints have sacs around them. We're penetrating the sacs with our medical staff is penetrating those sacs with a needle, pushing it in. So you'll go through 2 to 3 days feeling awesome, and then you'll have a little bitter period where you hate my guts because you think it didn't work and you just wasted your money, and then all of a sudden it kicks in and starts feeling amazing.
Awesome. That's going to be incredibly rewarding. Seeing someone come back 3 weeks later.
It keeps me going.
There you go.
It's amazing.
That's beautiful. Where do you see, the future going?
Oh my gosh.
With health and wellness.
Had you asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have said stem cell, stem cell, stem cell.
Yeah.
Now it's just a piece of the puzzle. Like you follow up stem cell with whole food diets and peptides. That's where I see the future going. Now, ask me that again in 5 years, we'll have a conversation. But we've been doing something we call it the superhuman protocol.
Oh, superhuman! I like that.
Like,
what is that?
So let's tell another story.
Okay.
A gal from Montana heard about me through our weight loss program, and she's like, "You got to help me." Mm-hmm. Okay. So she's younger than us, so she's in her 30s, early 30s. She's got 2 kids. Her husband runs a guiding ranch out in Montana. She works with an insurance agency, and she's just done the whole gain weight after every kid. She's like, I cannot shed it. I start talking to her about a history, and turns out that she's got this nasty autoimmune disease called idiopathic urticaria, which is basically she gets hives and no one knows why. Like these, if she puts on the wrong perfume or a mosquito bites her or she nicks her skin, rashes all over her body. Wow. Like nasty, like debilitating, ugly rashes. Yeah. And I'm like, hold the phone here. This is not a weight problem. This is a gut problem. Your immune system, where like 60 to 70% of your immune system is found in your gut. And you've heard this before, that your gut is your second brain. I actually think it's your primary brain, because that's where all the chemicals for your brain are produced. Not all, but most are produced from your gut. If your gut health is not healthy, guess what? Your immune system sucks. Your can I say sucks?
Yeah, you can say sucks.
Your immune system sucks. Your brain health sucks. Your mental health sucks. Like, it's all coming from gut. So anyway, for this particular individual, I'm like, okay. After a conversation with her, I realized that she's going to be able to have the mental capacity to do what I'm going to ask her to do. Yeah. And so I sat down and I said, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to start you with taking stem cell exosomes, those messengers that they release, and we literally put them into our bloodstream. We gave her an IV of stem cell exosomes to help modulate her immune system, calm her immune system down. Okay. So that's step 1 of this protocol. You start knocking the inflammation down, you start regulating the immune system, miracles start to happen when you do enough volume and you do the right product and you do it in the right way, which our medical staff, I've got a nurse anesthetist that does these for me. That's freaking awesome. But so we started off with that. And I'm like, okay, it's phase 2. Phase 2 is diet. So before I got ahead of myself, before we actually did the infusion, I did a blood panel on her. Okay. And I've got my own blood panel that we do that looks at about 25 to 30% more than what, actually about 50% more than what your medical doctor, like your annual blood work. Yeah. Dude, your annual blood work is a joke. Like, it literally would cost you $12 cash just go pay the lab to do that blood work. And then they look at the numbers, and they look at these really broad numbers that are actually numbers compared to sick people. and they tell you that it's normal.
Hmm.
Mm. And yet you're breaking out these skin rashes. You're not normal.
Yeah.
So we take the blood work, and that's where we started. Okay, so we got this blood work done, and then once we got the infusion in her, then I took that blood work and I built a custom meal plan based off of her condition. So we know that hives is a histamine issue. So I built her a meal plan that was basically, we're going to eat food that's going to keep our histamine reactions down.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to eat food that's going to help regulate and keep your immune system happy. So it's like real natural food with some nuances to it. Um, so we put her on that diet, and long story short is 6 months here we are. 6 months she hasn't had a single hive, zero breakouts.
That's cool.
And she's dropping weight. She's feeling like $1,000,000. And then the follow up to that is, well, with her particular case, she'll probably have to do these stem cell infusions annually. But you can also decrease those times just by using peptides. Like you can help these people continue that growth just doing peptides based off of what their goals are and who those people are. And
Man, that's cool.
like right now, I've got her. She's actually doing some glutathione injections to keep her immune system suppressed, and then we're going to push her into the more natural peptide world here when we feel like the time is right and everything's calmed down. Like, then we're going to start working peptides for her.
Long term and natural burn.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. So let's say someone comes in here and maybe they have some gut issues. They're listening to this.
Sure.
They're like, oh, that sounds like me. What do you suggest? Obviously, like, let's go see Brady and get some big stuff done. But what advice could you give that's just like start here or
Stop eating junk.
Yeah.
Like, well, if you follow me on social media, you'll know. Like, I give away meal plans all the time.
Yeah.
Like, dude, here's a 2-week meal plan. If you follow this, in fact, we'll do this for you. I'll make sure I'll email you.
Cool.
Just a PDF, and you can give it to your people.
Cool. I'll put it in the description.
People do not want to hear what's making them sick, but we're gonna say it anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, I used to think that gluten is number one, but I think it's a tie. Gluten, sugar.
Okay.
Hey, sugar to include not just the white powdery sugar, but also all the fake sugars, all the artificial sweeteners. It's horrific what these are doing to our guts and to our metabolic system.
Okay.
If we really want to run down a rabbit hole, you start talking about energy drinks and people that are cranking energy drinks. Yes, Stacy, I stopped drinking them. The sucralose, the sweetener that they use, destroys your gut health. Destroys it. Like totally disrupts your microbiota and breaks it down. So when I say sugar, I mean all of those are to be included. Hey, and then corn, and then soy, and then dairy. Round out the top 5.
Okay.
So I know
I hear that. It's like that's what everybody's eating right now.
Right. So there's ways around it. Okay. So people hear me say that and they're like, "Oh man, it must be really hard." No, actually, you know what's hard? Being sick. Being sick is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, am I perfect 100% of the time? No, I still have my indulgences, but the most ridiculously disciplined person when it comes to diet on this planet is my wife. Who, by the way, if we wanted to get into that story, when I met her, she had lupus. She was getting like these big elephant ankles because of the edema that was building up, chronic migraines, chronic fatigue. She's like, "Oh, I'm just a single parent. This is why. I'm a mom and I've got 4 kids and I do it by myself." And I told her I could help her, and she's like, "You're full of it. You're a chiropractor. What can you do?" And well, she's gonna get after me for saying it that way. It wasn't that bad, but I said, "Hey, here's a challenge," and I gave her a meal plan. Long story short, we've now been married for 8 years, and you'd never know she has lupus.
That's cool.
Just from diet. So, what do you eat? Protein sources, meats, chicken, fish, beef, wild game, grass-fed, organic when you can, eggs, nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds, it's important to go organic. Focus on those for your proteins. Your fruits and vegetables. Hey, get organic. When you can't get organic, pay attention to the Dirty Dozen, which is, if I would have just spit that out, the Environmental Working Group every year, EWC.org, they do what they call the Dirty Dozen. which is here's the fruits that you shouldn't eat this year because of the pesticides that were put on them,
Okay.
and their tendency to hang on to those pesticides because those are destroying your gut bugs and your gut function and everything else. And so you stick to the low glycemic, organic berries. Um, if you're part of my program or trying to lose weight, I'll tell you to avoid bananas, pineapples, mangoes, and grapes just because of their sugar content, and they'll spike your insulin.
Mm-hmm.
And when your insulin spikes, your body holds on to weight and chaos ensues. Vegetables, I tell people to avoid potatoes, corn, peas, or carrots for the same reasons, just higher in glycemic load. But if there's a recipe that has, like we do like an organic, not organic, what is it? Like a grass-fed beef stir fry is like one of our staples.
Okay.
We put carrots in there because what I don't want people doing is just eating, 12 ounces of carrots and call it a serving. That's going to spike your blood sugar.
Okay.
So if it's in a recipe, we don't sweat it. So anyway, that's where I would start is diet. But that's only part of it. Like, we both have saunas in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
We know the benefits of saunas. We know the benefits of breath work. We know what it means to work out and how important that is. But if we're just starting from scratch, start with that.